Well, now let's talk about freedom again. Governments talk about freedom, all the books talk about freedom in the songs, but how much freedom we have. Now, this next step, education, is aimed at liberating young people. Let's face it, our schools, I was in Grenoble when I was a young man, and I said, "Is that a prison?" And someone said, "No, that's a school." Okay, so really, so we got our kids imprisoned in these buildings from 8 in the morning till 3 p.m., right? Generally hating what they're doing, right? Some of them love it, but let's face it, who has great memories of grammar school and high school? It's basically a pretty awful experience. So here in education, it's very important if you're going to create a paradisical Greece, a place that's better. You've got to work on education and liberate all the young people. Unfortunately, the plan is there. It was developed in Italy in the Renaissance. A very wealthy count, whose name I can't find at the moment, but he created a place called the House of Games. Okay, and I suggest that the formula which he evolved and which he applied was, if you apply it to the whole Greek education system, you'll create just a much better school system. But remember, one of the principles of this strategy is right now with what you have on hand. So we're not talking about really adding or changing things. We're just talking about optimizing the schools and the schedules, all right? Now, in the House of Games, students studied from 8 till noon. And that was it. Classroom ended at noon. All right, so, okay, maybe no recess, but you crammed it in there. And in those days, classroom work was mostly memorization. All right, so, you learn the essentials in there, right? So I suggest that Greece, we do the same thing, okay? So all you're doing is kind of modifying the curriculum you got. Maybe you have to compress it a bit or whatever, but you basically keep your same curriculum, but you squeeze it into those first 4 hours. Right? You get that out of the way at noon, and then it becomes the House of Games. And from noon on, all day long, right up into the evening, it becomes the House of Games, right? And all the things which now you do 1 hour a week in school, in high school, or 2 hours a week, like music and drama class and art and shop and all these things that right now you get an hour a week to use your hands, to use your body, to use your creative part, right? I mean, that's a minor part of all our school systems now, the creative side. Now it expands to become the major one. So all you have to do in terms of spending money is lease or buy some additional buildings around the school, because you may need those for the expansion of drama classes, music classes, orchestra, sports classes, sculpting, design. All this can be going on, and the kids don't have to go home at 3 o'clock. They won't want to go home at 3 o'clock and become latch kids and sit in the house watching TV till 5 or 6 o'clock, because they're going to have so much more fun at school. And if they're into football, they'll play all afternoon, right? So we'll get to the benefits in a moment, but you see, health-wise already, your children are going to be so much healthier in Greece because they're playing all day long, right? And besides the playing, I don't even have to look at my notes because I remember this so well, but besides the playing, there's a very important second aspect of the afternoons of the games, and that is field trips. When I was a young man in school, the YMCA used to run field trips, and I went on 4 or 5 of them, and they were absolutely wonderful, okay? We went and saw the FBI lie detector, and we went to a newspaper where they, and here 6 times in my whole childhood, I got to go on a field trip, and they were all terrific, okay? Now, we already have the buses, we already have the field trip, we already have the teachers available, everything's in place, it's just being underused, right? So in the House of Games, everywhere in Greece, there will be several field trips every afternoon. A choice of field trips. so that half of the education is inside the school, behind the school walls, and then in the afternoon you go out and visit steel mills and airlines and the school arrange. This is all in place. We've already got the people who set these things up. We just give them a lot more work to do and hire more people doing it, you see. So now if you don't want to hang around all afternoon and play games or do art or whatever or do dance, right, you climb on one of the field trips and go out and see the world you live in. So by the time you get to graduation, you know the world around you. You're going to pick your career better, right? You're going to understand people you meet better, be able to talk to them because you'll know their professions and their industries and so on. So that's the second element of this school, or the third actually. You have the games and the creative stuff, and then you have these constant field trips so that students get out, you take them out, which is already going on. We're just doing more of it here. Right? Make it a big part of the life of the student. And then the final thing for the school is that it stayed open in the evenings too, all right? And so they would bring in the evenings, they'd bring people into the school who had traveled or who were experts on a subject. And they'd come in and lecture every night. Right? If the kids want to come back at night or hang around, there's a lecture, all right? And maybe a dinner, these are all very easy to do. And then the parents can maybe come to the school and sit in on the lectures as well, right? So instead of having a PTA meeting once every 6 months, right, and the parents are forced to come in and sit through this trash, you now get the parents in and out of the school. You make them welcome in the afternoons too, if they want to come over and join in the games and be docents or you see. So basically that's what we're going to do with education. And once again, it's right now with what we have on hand. Don't have to build any new schools, don't have to hire any new teachers, or maybe some, but you get the idea here. Okay.